Vancouver Granville seems excited about the prospect of electing Jody Wilson-Raybould as an independent MP. In a new poll, voters in the riding were asked which party they would vote for if the federal election was held today. The answer was no party, with 28% saying Wilson-Raybould would get their vote as an independent, a slight lead over the established Liberal brand. Jody Wilson-Raybould joins us this morning. Ms. Wilson-Raybould, thank you so much for joining us. You've pledged to do politics differently. On your campaign website, you said you're, quote, confident that running as an independent at this time is the best path forward to advance the positive change our country needs and have the most impact on our evolving political system. So how are you going to do things differently, create the change that you say we need without that support that comes with being part of a party?
Well, thanks for having me on this morning. I found myself in a place very recently that I didn't expect to be in. I know that I feel like my time in federal politics is not done. I'm the same person I was when I ran in 2015, and I do believe that doing politics differently, there's a huge opportunity to move away from what we know as partisan politics to work more collaboratively across party lines. That's what I tried to do throughout the time that I was in government, and certainly it is what I've heard far and wide, not only in Vancouver Granville, but across the country, that people want to have a different face to politics where they feel that their voices are being heard and that they can be involved.
On Sunday, the host of CTV's Question Period, Evan Solomon, asked you if you would consider rejoining a post-Trudeau Liberal Party, and your answer was never say never. What would you need to rejoin the party? Would it be an opportunity to lead it?
Well, I haven't thought in those terms. As I said, I'm in a position that I didn't think that I would be in, and I feel very comfortable in putting my name forward to run as an independent, and I made the decision to do that for all the reasons that you articulated, but specifically because I heard from people that live in my riding. I've heard from thousands of Canadians that want to support a new way of doing politics, and that means not simply focused on what one party is presenting versus what the other party is presenting, because we have fundamental issues that need to be resolved and solutions need to be advanced beyond one party, beyond one election cycle. And for the people in Vancouver Granville, and I know people right across the country, climate change is one of those major issues of our time, Indigenous reconciliation, and looking at democratic reform and parliamentary reform. Those are big issues where I come from. They're issues that I ran on back in 2015, and they're issues that need an approach that takes advantage of all of the voices and the 338 members of Parliament that represent constituents right across the country.
The makeup of the next House of Commons could look an awful lot. It could be much different than the one that you were elected in just a few short years ago. There's a chance that you could be walking in as an independent into a minority government situation. You could wield quite a bit of influence in the House. Would you ever be open to working on an issue-by-issue basis with, say, a sheer minority government? And if so, where do you think you could find common ground?
Well, as I said, when I announced that I was running as an independent for Vancouver Granville, I will work with whomever forms government, whomever is the Prime Minister. And beyond that, I certainly will work with every member of Parliament in the House of Commons, no matter what their political stripe. And defining issues by virtue of what one party is presenting over the other on issues like climate change is not something that necessarily is going to resolve those issues long term. We need to take bold action. All parties need to work together to tackle those issues. So whomever is fortunate to become the next Prime Minister of Canada, or if Prime Minister Trudeau continues on in that role, I am happy to work with him or anyone else.
Just one last question, and we only have a few short seconds left. A few politicians have gone through the journey that you've gone through over the past few years. What have you learned over the past few months about Canadians and the notion of transparency from their politicians?
Well, the biggest thing that I've heard and learned from the last couple of months and 5 months or so is that the biggest thing that Canadians have said to me is they've thanked me for doing what I did. They thanked me for bringing a principled approach to politics and doing what's right in the face of adversity, in the face of differences of opinion. So I don't regret what I did. I'm proud of the work that I was able to accomplish when I was the minister, and I look forward to what the future holds. And I believe that there's a lot of people that want to move forward and do politics differently.
Well, Jody Wilson-Raybould, allow me to thank you for coming on to our show this morning and giving us a snapshot as to where you're at today. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.